of us in the transformational world are very familiar with this concept of imposter syndrome, but not a lot of people actually talk about this. And this is super duper important because this will actually help us move past this more effectively and efficiently. But I'm going to warn you, it's not going to be comfortable because it really gets to the core truth of things, which is a prerequisite for growth. And I am a trainer who is all about fast results. And this is the fastest way you can silence those imposter syndrome voices of feeling like a fraud. And this is playing with the concept of this. And you get to be curious here and not judge yourself, but be brutally honest with yourself. What if you are actually being an imposter? Like for real, for real. Like what if those imposter syndrome thoughts are actually legitimate? Now, I'm not saying it's always, but what if it is? So, for example, you are putting yourself out there and you are in the healing transformational space, but your mental health is very poor right now. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, that is normal. And I said this is not about shaming, but there are times when our mental health isn't the best. I've definitely been there. I was there 2 years ago. And so when you're absolutely down in the dumps with regards to your physical, mental, and emotional health, and then you want to put yourself out there to help your clients with that, you're not doing this thing you said you were going to do to help you to um, move through that mental and emotional lowness, then yes, there is some legitimacy with regards to those imposter syndrome thoughts, especially if one of your core values is honesty and integrity. That just makes sense, right? And I would even put myself in this box where I did feel that way. I was in the worst mental health condition 2 years ago. And it made sense for what I was going through at that time. But it was very difficult to put myself out there. And there were imposter syndrome thoughts, and there were a lot of truth to those thoughts because at that time, I was not following through on my promises. And my values are where I value honesty and integrity. And so I wasn't living up to those values. And so I was being an imposter. Like it was true. Like it wasn't a syndrome. Like I was being an imposter. I was being fraudulent with regards to my promises, with regards to who I truly am. And so when I got honest with that, that was when the changes happened. That was when those thoughts eventually faded. And so to you right now, what I would encourage you to do is to be brutally honest with yourself, and at the same time, have obviously compassion with yourself as you're doing this. This is a skill set in and of itself, because when you do, when you shine that spotlight on yourself, on the things that you have taken action on, because that is what really counts, right? It's not really the thoughts or the feelings that we have, even though those are valid, especially our emotions, it is the actions that we take that actually make us go closer to get closer to our goals. And so if we're not taking the action that we said we were going to do, and that includes whatever, right? It includes, resting and sleeping when you said you would, but instead you would doom scroll and not follow through on that. Things like that. These are the foundational principles that will help to really dissolve those imposter syndrome feelings, going actually taking action on the thing that you said you were going to do. Because if that thought continues to persist, that is a signal, right? Even though it's very negative, it is still a message from our nervous system, from our unconscious to be like, pay the fuck attention to this because there is something that is misaligned. And if it's a recurring theme that comes up again and again and again, even though you're doing the work, we can do the work, but half-ass it by not being honest, right? So be honest with yourself, do the work for you, and then these imposter syndrome feeling symptoms will go away, especially if you take action on your promises.